and I'm excited to show you all the books I've read in the month of April. Now, it's only about 5 books, but these are some of the best books I think I've read this year. But I say that about all my books. Let's get straight into the video. Also, I'm so sorry about my lighting. There's windows in here and it's kind of annoying. Let's get straight into it. Now, the first book I kind of read this month / finished this month is The Toll. It's the 3rd book in the Arc of Scythes series by Neal Shusterman, and it left me honestly speechless. The Arc of Scythes series is a trilogy. I read the first 2 books back in March, and I'm so excited I got to finish it, because once I read The Thunderhead, I was like, I need to get The Toll. And I got it, and I read it in, it might have been like 6 days or something. 5, maybe. I read it pretty quick for me. There's so many lovable characters in this book. It really finished the series well. When I was reading it, I was like, how on earth are they going to do this? They're kind of, like, they're going to have to watch the ending at the pace that everything's happening at. Because I was like, there's only a few pages left until the end. What's going to happen? And then I was surprised. I was so surprised. And I love this book so much. And I love the series so much. And I need to do a review on it. So look out for that on my channel. I don't want to say anything without kind of spoiling it. But the tone, the thunder, the tone, the toll, and the thunder, that meant so much. The tone, the toll, and the thunder. I honestly need like a quote on that, for that on my wall. Let's see. The back is, I am your completion. I am the last word of your unsatisfied, unsavory lives. I am your deliverer. Your death is both my verdict upon you and my gift to you. Accept it with grace, and thus farewell. That's on the back of the book. Okay. I'm gonna spend forever on The Toll. So I don't want to say anything other than what's on the back, because I'm gonna totally spoil it. Let's save that for another video, shall we? This month, I also read Time Bomb. Basically, I think, I mentioned this in my first video, kind of just going over some books that I had, but weren't actually shown the background. So Time Bomb is about how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 teenagers who are trapped in a school where bombs are going off. And they all have kind of their reasons to be there, but when the bomb goes off, they're like, what's happening? Why aren't we being saved? It's kind of like all of that. And they all have such different personalities, and they all kind of come together, and it's a really amazing story, because you don't really know a person until you're legit about to die. And I think this is kind of it was really realistic to how real people would react in these situations, in my opinion. And I think Time Bomb was a really good read, and that I have learned a lot from it. I think I rated it like 5 stars in Goodreads because I loved it so much. And it's not like I'm lenient when I give 5 stars. I'm honestly really generous with them, because I give almost every book I read 5 stars, and I hate to give things less than 2. Like, it hurts me inside. It's like when I don't like books, I'll give them like 3 stars or 2 stars, because 1 or 2 stars, it's kind of like, oh no. But you know, it's a me thing. I think I rate them like so. I just love books too much to give them anything less than 3 stars, honestly. Time Bomb was, I think, one of the... I rarely read thrillers. Like, I'm just going to clear that up. I rarely read thrillers. But I'm so glad I read this, and now it's opening up a whole new world for me. And I actually have a few thrillers and mysteries that I am waiting to read now, and that I feel like I really need to get into. So Yeah. Next up, we have The First Rule of Punk. So it's about a girl named Malu who's going to a new school, and she's gonna have to make new friends because she's moving, and it's kind of like her hardships with that, and her learning how to navigate this new life. She feels really different from people because of her love for punk, and I love. And one of the really great things about this story is that you get to follow along with like her zines. It gives you legit pictures in the book of her zines, and so you really get to feel the character and kind of embrace the book in a new way that I've never actually been able to embrace the book before, and love it. The music that she listens to is explained in the book. They give you songs and artists, and so you can listen to what she's listening to and what she enjoys. That is really important because I've never had an author give such specific details in the books. Because when you're listening to music or something in a book, when a character's listening to music, they will kind of explain that this is a sad song or classical music or something like that, and it's a very vague description that can go for almost anything. And this author, Celia Perez, she's done something that I've never read before. Because I feel like there's not enough stories out there with the plot of a girl going to a new school or someone going to a new school and having to figure out life there. But she's totally done it in a different way that is very, very good. And I think that it does stand out from all the others with that sort of plot. And I'm so grateful for that. Next up is Legend by Marie Lu. Now, I've already read Legend, I've read the entire trilogy. I still need to read Rebel. I'm really excited about Rebel. I haven't bought it yet. I've been needing to buy it, but there's so many other books that have come up that I'm like, I need to read these first. Rebel can wait. Yeah, Rebel can't wait sometimes. So Legend by Marie Lu is a dystopian novel. It follows two different point of views, which is great. It's not like an omniscient kind of view. It's just two. You're not both characters, because there's other characters in the book that you can get. There's other characters in the book that you can get different views from, but in Legend it's just two, June and Day. Now June is like, she's this really smart girl who has grown up in the Republic, on the kind of rich side, and she's had everything she's ever needed. There's some struggles, but she's one of the smartest. She is the smartest person in the entire kind of country. And then Day, he grew up poor and was forced to live a life of crime. And he has a sidekick named Tess, who is really good with medicine, and kind of helps him out. And so Day is the most wanted criminal in the Republic, which is where they live. Basically, the United States is split in half, and one's the Republic and the other is the colonists, but we don't really get much of the colonists in this book. I think I read Legend a year ago. It was longer. I read Legend less than a year ago. I know it was around summer of last year. It's so good. I wanted to write about it, so I reread it just to get some things in my mind, and I loved it. I now realize that it probably took me about 6 days to read it the first time I read it, and I read it in 3 days the last time. And I kind of was like, in my mind, I was thinking, wow, I don't remember this going on, or wow, I remember this being way after I started the book. And this book, every time you reread it, you'll always find something new. And it's really good with those books, no matter how recent you read it. It's like you can just read it and you can read it again, and you will find something that you didn't know before. And that's what I always love. The characters are very lovable. Sometimes I was kind of like, why? Why are you doing this? I was like banging my head against the book. I was annoyed at some parts, but they were all so necessary for the plot. The characters feel so real. Sometimes you kind of forget that they're 15-year-olds, but because they're so smart and so athletic and, braver than some adults maybe. And, well, some adults in the book. And ultimately, the plot and why these characters are driven is very clear. And sometimes in other books, you might get confused about that. But this dystopian has really good world building skills. It's nothing that will truly kind of disturb you to the core. It's like, why? You just said this and then you contradicted yourself. It's nothing like that at all, which I really love, because sometimes in building new worlds, authors can kind of stumble a bit, but Marie Lu did not. She was absolutely perfect with this, in my opinion. Some people can find little things. Basically, it's this world, futuristic. It's a little farther in the future than 2020 right now. And at the age of 10, every kid has to go in the stadium and take a test. Now, depending on your score, your whole life will change. If you totally fail the test, they send you off to a labor camp and you don't even get to say goodbye to your family. And most of the kids who fail are those who are in the poorer sectors, because they're kind of separated by social class. And if you kind of squeak by, you'll get to go to high school, and then you'll get to go to a designated college, and you'll have a job that most people would hate and don't really want to do. And then if you do pretty good, like average, good job, you get to go to one of the best high schools. You get to go to a high school, a good high school. Then you'll get to go to one of the best colleges that they have. And then they will send you off to a really good job, most likely working within the government or maybe even the military, which is still a great thing. And then if you do absolutely good, like 10 out of 10, you lose probably like 100 points or less, because it's a 1,500 point test. If you get 1,400 points or more, you will do so good. You'll get top priority within the whole dystopian universe, and the countries in that country the Republic will absolutely adore you. And that's kind of how June was treated, because she did so well on the test. I'm going to stop there with that, because I can go on forever. Wow, I need to review so many books now, like just a whole review just for them. Lastly, what I've read in the month of April is The Fever Code. It's a prequel to the Maze Runner series, which I read in December of 2019. Really good. Really, really good. James Dashner is someone I can describe as a fearless writer. Some people would kind of get scared with writing such gruesome kind of details, and won't include it in their books. But James Dashner fully embraces it and brings it in almost every book in the Maze Runner series. And that's what turns some people off about The Kill Order, his other prequel. But I want to keep reading. I want to keep reading because it really hooks you. It really hooks you. So basically, The Fever Code is people. We find out what happens to the original Gladers and why they're sent in the maze. So, in the world with the flare, most people are dying. The solar flares kind of scorched the world, and some people got hit harder than others. The few immune kids are being rounded up and taken to this place where Wicked can control their lives. Now, we're followed by Thomas the entire time. He's the protagonist in the Maze Runner series and is the protagonist once again in The Fever Code. Thomas, every morning, he has to go get blood drawn. He gets his mind monitored, and they just want to know what's so different about him, making him immune, and what makes him different from the people who aren't immune in the world getting the flare. And after he gets all that stuff done, all the medical stuff, he'll go to school, and he's individually taught with no one else. He, day after day, just gets taught things like chemistry, history. Most of their history is about Wicked and what's so important about them, and why the flare virus needs to be demolished, and why Thomas is going to help them do that. And he goes to strategic thinking classes, which when I'm reading it, it's just, why do kids have to do that? That's such mind torture. I mean, the strategic thinking classes really, those you can clearly tell that Thomas stands out for people because he's so incredibly smart. It's like what he's doing in these books I can never do in a million years. So Thomas is just amazing strategic thinking. He does science, chemistry, all that, kind of like the usual stuff, math. Just strategic thinking classes and history are a little different. He is in a room alone, so every time he's done with his classes and all his medical stuff, he gets woken up at a specific time each morning. He goes back to his room specific time each day. He gets fed in his room during lunch, and he gets fed breakfast, lunch, and dinner in his room every day, and he never gets to actually talk with anybody outside his room. He's seen this girl named Teresa go by a few times, but he's never actually got to talk to her, and she doesn't really know anything about the outside world. He knows there has to be other kids there, but he's not really acquainted with them. And he's been there since he was 5. Yeah, let's just think about that. He's been in Wicked's possession since he was 5. And then, grows up, the whole Maze Runner thing happens. We learned that the Gladers knew way more than we apparently thought they did in the Maze Runner. They were aware that they're immune. Some of them possibly weren't. They were very aware of everything that went on. They were aware of each other, and I think that's so new and a different take on whatever happened in the Maze Runner series. Because we just thought that there are random people who are immune and they're thrown in the maze, and that's all why, because apparently they're going to Wicked's going to monitor activity. That's what I thought. I didn't know they had special trainings to kind of help with the maze trials. So, Fever Code, great prequel. Yeah. I think that was probably the most interesting read ever. I was hooked. I couldn't put it down. When I read my 100 pages, 125 pages each night, I wouldn't be able to go to sleep for an hour because there's so much in my mind. And most people, when they read this, they're like, one word, Newt. And yes, Newt is a very interesting character in this book. I couldn't agree more. But sometimes it's not exactly the first thing that I think of. These characters are so necessary. Because there's a, whatchamacallit? Prologue. Very first page, prologue. This is what it starts on. And their awareness of everything just shocks me. Thank you for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Go check out my previous video, my unpopular Harry Potter opinions. And if you have read some of these books, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. I'd love it if you subscribed.